A lack of jobs and spiraling prices are bringing angry Argentinians onto the streets. They say borrowing money from the IMF will bury the economy under a mountain of debt and make it even harder to make ends meet.
The IMF is proposing adjustments that will mean more layoffs. That situation will send thousands of families into desperation. In some places, they already don't even have enough to eat.
For many, borrowing from the international lender of last resort brings back memories of rampant unemployment and high taxes last seen in 2001.
There will be a greater fall in consumption and more unemployment. Unfortunately, we believe that being subordinate to the International Monetary Fund was part of the past, but this government, in 2.5 years, has once again stuck us in hell.
Despite the opposition, the government's got little choice but to borrow from the IMF once again. Argentina's foreign loans have piled beyond $235 billion. Its local currency has plunged to an all-time low of nearly 25 pesos per US dollar. And the inflation rate is stubbornly high at 25%, even after the central bank raised the cost of borrowing to 40%. The government hopes the loans will help cut its external deficit and stabilize the currency.
Our target for the primary deficit is 2.7% this year. We'll speed up this convergence in the following years to eliminate the deficit by 2021.
But doing that will come at a cost few Argentinians are willing to pay. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Now, for more on this, our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, joins me now from Paris. Craig, great to have you on the show. Now, we heard the Secretary-General of the Central Workers' Union, Hugo Yasky, at the beginning of the show saying the return of the IMF means the return of hunger in Argentina. Strong words, but what do you think? Is this going to happen?
Oh, he's right. It will lead to that. Some might think, what's $50 billion among friends? But low growth, high inflation, 25%. Not only does that lead to high prices for food, but it also suggests that the Argentinians might want to learn how to speak Greek, because they're about to go down that road, and Greece is going to be paying off their debt and the principal on that debt until past 2060.
Now, remind us, how did Argentina get into this mess again?
Well, they spent more than they had, and they had a pretty lousy government managing the country. Look, it's not just $50 billion. They're getting an added $5.65 billion from the Inter-American Development Bank, the World Bank, and the CAF Development Bank. So they're in for quite a bit of money. And what's interesting about this, the IMF is trying to ease this by saying, well, we're only going to charge you 1.96% to 4.96% interest, depending on how much of the money we give you use, Argentina. Well, guess what? They're going to be using all of it.
Now, Craig, there's so much criticism we've heard from Argentina, also from Jordan, against the IMF. If it isn't the IMF that's bailing out and helping these countries, who does then?
Well, look, the natives are restless all over the world. They do not, I should say they no longer trust institutions, whether it's the IMF, the European Union, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, even the World Health Organization. The authority and clout of these institutions, which have been the spine of Western democracy since the end of World War II, are sclerotic right now. These institutions are crumbling, and people are pulling the rug out from under these institutions, including the corporations and the governments as well. Folks just don't trust these institutions because they keep getting them into trouble.
Okay. And what lessons are there here in Argentina for other emerging markets, Craig?
Well, the lesson is you've got to tighten your belt, and you'd better elect a government that knows what it's doing economically. This is what it really boils down to, Maria. We can lay out all the statistics and fancy economic principles we want, Argentina has never had elected officials who know how to balance books. They don't know what they're doing down there. It's the same thing that happened in Greece. It's the same thing that happened in Italy. It happened in Spain for a while. So you have to elect representatives, politicians who know how to manage a country. And it's reached a point right now where they're so broke that they have to go begging to outfits like the World Bank and the IMF, and will only result in getting deeper in debt and causing more trouble in the country and making the natives even more restless and not willing to go along with what the institutions would like them to do.
Craig, thank you so much for your analysis and your time. Appreciated. That was Craig Copetas for us from Paris.